This week we're going to talk about some notebook tricks that can help speed your development. Welcome to another MetPy Monday. Hello, I'm John Lehman, a software engineer for Unidata. This week I want to look at some things that you can use in the notebook to help speed along your development process. We've talked about magics before, but I want to show you a few more magics that I use quite often in the notebook environment. So first, we have to be working on some kind of problem, right? So I'm going to do an import of metpy.calc as mpcalc. From metpy.units, I'm going to import the units registry. I'm going to create some variables called mytemp. And that's going to be a temperature in degrees Celsius. My relative humidity is going to be a relative humidity in percent. From that, we can calculate my dew point using MetPy's dew point from relative humidity function. Notice I'm using tab complete there. And then I can use Shift Tab to pull up the documentation for this function and remind myself that it is temperature, relative humidity in that order. Okay, and my relative humidity. Now I can look at my dew point, and we get a dew point of -7 Celsius. All right, so why do we go through this exercise? Well, I wanted to have several variables in the kernel that I'm operating right now, so we could look at our first magic function. Remember, single line magics have a percent at the beginning, and multi-line magics have 2% at the beginning. If I use the who, I can see all variables, or all objects really, in the kernel space right now. So I've got metpycalc, the module that I imported, my dew point, my RH, my temp, and the units registry. Because remember, in Python, everything is an object. This is just a listing of objects. Now you can also filter this by variable type. So let's say I want to see all the floats. Well, no variables match your requested type. So why is that? Well, let's think just a little bit more about what each of these are. Well, it turns out we're using united quantities, and quantity is the type. So I can say, show me all the quantities, and there they are. Now, why would you use who? Well, it's really handy when you're many, many lines down in a notebook and you can't remember what you called something, and tab completion isn't cutting it because you don't remember what letters it starts with. So that's a really handy magic, is the who magic. The next magic that I want to show you is pinfo. And we can print information on a given variable. In this case, if I pinfo my dew point, it tells me the type, it tells me the string representation, it tells me where that is coming from, where that object is coming from. So it's from pint, and if there's any docstring for it. So if I said A is 3.14, pinfo A, we see that it's float, the string form, convert a string or number to a floating point number if possible. All right, so pinfo is our second magic. Those are more for exploring in the notebook while you're writing and maybe forget exactly what you've defined something as, name-wise, or what's in it. But we can also use, let's say I've got a big script that makes an awesome map, but I don't want to put all of that in my notebook and have to open it up, copy and paste that in just to put that map in this particular notebook. Well, I can use the load magic for mymap.py. So I could have many mapping scripts in this directory, and as I'm exploring today's weather for a weather briefing, let's say, use load to load a given map. When I run that cell, it loads all of the content from mymap.py, many, many, many lines, and comments out the load line. So then if I wanted to get rid of that, I could highlight everything, which this is a long script, and delete it. And now I'm back just having to leave this line in my notebook. I'll leave it commented out for now. So load is really handy. Now, what if I'm writing some code and I'm going to come up with some handy little snippet, and I think, man, that'd be really nice to just have off in a text file that I could maybe use load on later or somewhere else. Or I've made a nice map and I'm ready to write that out to a script. I can use 2% signs, meaning this is a multi-line magic, writefile into my awesome map.py. And now those 3 lines of code have been written out to myawesomemap.py. How can we verify that? Of course, with our load. And there they are back. So writefile and load, really handy. The final magic that I want to show you today is lsmagic. This is how you can discover more magics, and they're by line or by cell type. So for line magics, we've got load. There's lots of things you can do regarding environmental variables here. Aliasing, changing directories. There's quite a few line magics. And then cell magics will be things like writefile, like we just used, or time it, which we've talked about in previous MetPy Mondays. So this is a really handy list to go look through and say, oh, that sounds like it might be something that would be useful for my application. Or if you just forget, you know there's a magic to do timing, this is a quick way to find it. So I hope that you found this useful, and I'll see you on next week's MetPy Monday.